Nominated as one of the best community college radio stations in the nation.
Keep listening, and you'll see why.
FM,
HD,
Amazon Echo,
Google Home,
the TuneIn Radio app,
the iHeartRadio app,
and nccradio.org.
The voice of Nassau Community College.
This is the award-winning 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD, Garden City.
on the air, everywhere.
Welcome to another edition from the Press Box, part of the WHPC Sports Talk family, because there's a lot of sports shows here at WHPC. I'm Rob Leonard. Joining me via the telephone today is Brother Timothy. Hello, Brother Timothy. How are you?
Hello, brother. Little hoarse tonight.
Yeah,
today.
That sounds like it, my brother. What happened to your voice?
I had an alarm concert last night, so these things happen.
You have no voice. It's great for radio.
Well, if you say so, bro.
Well, it's going to be a fun show for me. You want to know why, brother?
Why is that?
Because didn't the Yankees blow their season basically this past weekend?
Wow. That's where you're going?
I am, because I can't talk about the Mets in a positive voice.
So why be negative?
Let's be negative, because the Yankees, it's not like they...
No, I said why be negative?
Oh, you're asking as a question.
Yes, as a question.
Well, I think because as a Met fan...
Since I'm such a positive person.
As a Met fan, we need to look at this situation and say, okay, at least the Yankees aren't winning. So...
first of all, there's reasons and issues that are going on right now with the Yankees.
Right.
So... As far as I'm concerned, and
I mean, what gets me, brother, is it happened against the Red Sox, and if they had swept the series, they'd be very close to first place, and now they're very far behind from first place.
Well, there's no arguing that, brother. Now the deficit is 9.5 games. The Yankees obviously at this point are in an unenviable position. Because the Reds, I don't want to say the Red Sox clinched the division over this weekend, but right now the Yankees are in a situation where they still have 6 more games with the Red Sox down, next month. Towards the end, they finished the season with games against the Red Sox, and they play them 6 more times. But 6 more times isn't going to overcome 9.5 games.
Right.
So the Yankees, at the very minimum, with this series, needed to take 3 out of 4. And instead, they wound up not only losing all 4 games, but last night they finally scored some runs. They finally got a good pitching performance, and then Aroldis Chapman came in again and couldn't throw strikes.
Not good.
these things happen.
Well, it just seemed like I like to. I know you hate the term "stepping up," but when you're in this situation where the team ahead of you is the best team in baseball, and you have a chance to knock them down a little bit with a 4-game series, you should take advantage of it.
Well, they had to, but here's the problem, brother. All right, first of all, what were the issues for the Yankees this weekend? Well, hey, the offense wasn't very good. They didn't do a lot of hitting.
They were hanging out with the Mets.
And why didn't they do a lot of hitting? Well, hey, Aaron Judge is on a disabled list. Right. Gary Sanchez is on a disabled list. There's your number 2 and your number 4 or 5 hitter. So a decent chunk of your lineup and a couple of very important pieces of your lineup are on a disabled list and aren't playing. So combine that with the pitching issues that they had. The Yankees had to call up Chance Adams to make his major league debut on Saturday because they didn't have anybody else to pitch.
Right.
Jay Happ is the guy who they just got from the Toronto Blue Jays last week at the trading deadline, has the Syndergaard disease, the hand, foot, and mouth disease.
How do you get that?
I don't know. I'm told it happens to parents quite a bit.
Okay. Because
apparently kids get it. Like small kids get it. So, and then they pass it on. I don't know I don't know J Happ's parental issue or situation, and if he has small kids or not. But to hear that he had it like a week after Syndergaard got it was crazy, because I mean that's something that you don't hear about as an injury for major leaguers very often at all. And then all of a sudden, two New York pitchers on separate teams got it within a week of each other. But that was an issue. Lance Lynn, who I thought was going to pitch in that series, and he didn't pitch. And then the first game, Luis Cessa wound up coming in as a reliever, and he was supposed to pitch the Saturday game that Chance Adams wound up starting because the opening game of the series on Thursday turned out to be a disaster. Mm. You know, the Yankees took a decent sized lead early in that game, and then the pitching just fell apart. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, like I said, right now, if I had to look at it, at the standings and at the American League, I don't think there's anybody who would say that the Yankees aren't going to make the playoffs, because obviously they are.
Well, they're the number one. They're the number 4 team in the league right now. So,
well, but as we've discussed in the past, you know, I'm not a big fan of saying that the wild card game is the playoffs.
Right. You think that's more regular season?
It's well, I mean, for me, it's a 1-game situation. So
right.
Let's not get crazy about it. Let's not talk about, well, they made the playoffs. Well, let's win the wild card game, and then then you're in the playoffs. Well,
yeah, but the Mets. Well, they had it at Shea. I don't know if they have it at Citi Field. I haven't noticed it, but they had wild card winner for 1999 as one of the circles.
That's what your small thinking teams do.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, I don't think
positive, brother.
I don't think the Yankees would ever hang a "We made the wild card" banner.
No, they wouldn't. That's not what they do. But if they get into the playoffs that way, then you take it. Well,
obviously, my point is that if that's how they're going to make the playoffs, and at this point that looks like the way they're going to get to the playoffs, but it's just 1 game.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't regard 1 game as a playoffs.
I don't either.
That to me is your playoff qualifier. But right now, that's the way the Yankees. It looks anyway. That's how it looks like the Yankees are going to have to make.
Well, one thing about the Yankees, they have 3 games in hand with Boston, so that does help them as of right now. So they could always win those games and move up a little bit. So that is something to think about. Boston. Boston played 3 more games.
I'm looking at it like this. Even though they have those games in hand, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of those games will wind up being doubleheaders.
Right.
Except they have that one rain out from the Mets series, so that I know will be a single game. But the other two I'm pretty sure are going to be probably day-night doubleheaders. But I always look at it this way. Look at the loss column. The Yankees are 8 games behind the Red Sox. Red Sox have 34 losses. The Yankees have 42 losses.
Right.
And that's the only number that I ever look at, because as the saying goes, brother, you can make up wins, you can't make up losses, because losses, that number's only going to grow.
Good point, brother. Good point.
So to me, even though it says 9.5 games, the Yankees are still 8 games back, but that's still a big deficit.
Right. I understand.
So
I understand. I mean, but like I said, I thought I know there were some guys out and everything, but these are the games, these are the series Yankee fans wait for all season against Boston.
Oh yeah,
and I'm sure the Boston fans wait for it too. So.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
out.
I'm not gonna sit here and say, well, the Yankees would have won if Judge and Sanchez were healthy. The Red Sox got a great pitching performance from Rick Porcello. Then they got probably an almost as good performance from Nathan Eovaldi,
right?
Who was a former Yankee and is coming back from Tommy John surgery. The Red Sox just traded for him from the Tampa Bay Rays, and I mean, he looked phenomenal, and he is now thrown since the Red Sox acquired him. I think he's thrown 15 scoreless innings. I mean, he's a pretty good pitcher, but he's not that good. But you know what? He threw 7 scoreless innings against the Yankees this weekend. So, well timed. He stepped up, brother.
Thank you. Thank you for using my phrase. I feel.
Yes, I'm glad to. Well, I'm not glad to, but
it's a good phrase.
It was appropriate.
I hear it on ESPN all the time with their talking head guys.
Wow. That's kind of another reason not to use it. But I mean that's what we're looking at right now. Is right now the Yankees are still in very good shape as far as the wild card goes, but. I mean, it's...
Well, one thing they have going for them now is they're going to play in Chicago the next 3 games, and
that'll help.
Chicago's really bad.
They're dreadful.
They're really bad.
Yeah, and if you look at this, I mean, there's different ways of looking at this. Right now, I'm looking at the standings. The Yankees are still now they're the 3rd best team in the American League, and they're only 2 games or a couple games behind, a game and a half behind the Astros. The Yankees and the Astros have the same amount of losses.
Yeah,
so comfortably in position for the wild card. But again, I mean, this is the New York Yankees. They don't play for the wild card. That's not why. That's not the raison d'etre as the first.
Well,
thing
the funny thing also, and I'm just looking at the standings right now, and the teams in the same division. The Baltimore Orioles, man. How do people actually go to those games? They go to eat the ribs at Boog's or something? Is that the only reason they would go to a game there?
I don't know that Boog has ribs. Boog does roast beef sandwiches.
Oh, okay. But I mean,
and they're quite good, by the way.
I've heard. But I mean, I look at the schedule. Has Baltimore done anything in the last 20 years? It seems. I maybe not 20 years, but this team, I'm just looking at. I mean, it's a constant loser.
They set up Jeffrey Mayer for a charmed life. that might be about the only thing they've done.
I think that's
but I mean the Orioles are obviously in a rebuilding mode now. They traded Manny Machado.
Right.
They've made a lot of mistakes, and those mistakes have cost them. They signed Chris Davis to a long-term extension. At first, they weren't going to do it, and then the fans revolted, and Chris Davis is our boy, and we have to sign him. And now Chris Davis is a guy who, if he doesn't hit a home run, he's not going to get a hit. He's batting something like 205, and like I said, if he doesn't get a home run, he strikes out. Mm. He is the epitome of the 3 outcome player these days: strikeout, walk, home run, and he doesn't walk very often. So. That's what the Orioles have, and he's going to be on that team for another couple of years because nobody's going to take that contract.
Sure.
So wouldn't they have been better off, saying, "Hey, Chris Davis, we're going to pass on you," and maybe giving Manny Machado an extension a couple of years early instead of letting him go. Their drafting has been terrible. They're 2 big pitching prospects. With Kevin Gossman, who they just traded, and Dylan Bundy, who's been hurt probably more than he's been healthy, but he's in the rotation now. And I'm trying to remember, they drafted a 3rd baseman out of Jersey a few years back who was a complete bust as a first rounder.
It's just amazing that this team used to be thought of as a good team, or at least a competitive team.
Well, yeah, because the Orioles, they drafted well, and they did a good job of building their franchise. I mean, and mostly they did it with pitching, and their pitching for at least the last decade has been terrible. Right. You're not going to win if you don't have pitching. I mean, plain and simple.
Actually, the Mets have pitching.
The Mets have pitching, but the Mets have injured pitching. Steven Matz is on the DL again now. Right. He can't stay healthy, but. I mean, you need good pitching is always a good start, but you need guys to stay healthy, and you still need some hitters every once in a while. And the Mets have pretty much none of those. So
that's true.
I mean that's how the Orioles have gotten to where they are, which is the worst team in the American League right now. But Kansas City is nipping at their heels.
Well, we're going to take a break, brother. You're listening to From the Press Box, which is